We have to work we start with limited data, and we refine our interpretation, we refine our understanding using the data. So AI/ML is going to play a very big role in making our assumptions, making our analysis very accurate, close to accurate, and then only we will be able to de-risk our prospects.
But primarily, actually, and in India, we are focusing more on the downstream side, which is more on the customer-facing applications. So, for example, we have one of the biggest applications for customers, which is Hello BPCL. It's a unified application which allows the entire customer journey right from onboarding to the transactions.
The kind of platform this conference is providing usually helps us gelling up with the nations, particularly from Global South, enhancing the cooperation and also sharing similar sort of ideas and how we can go far together.
Viewers, India is proudly moving ahead from energy security to energy independence. And now global partners out here at the India Energy Week 2026 have responded in equal measure. Republic promises to continue covering this event on the next 2 days. This is Nitin Wagila signing off with Vijay Kanti.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't stopped it. No, he debanked to me. So we'll see if that beeps anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanking. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
The lawsuit, filed on Thursday, January 22nd in Miami-Dade County State Court, centers on a controversial practice known as debanking. The president alleges that the bank has systematically denied services to him and his associated businesses, not because of financial risk, but due to political bias. This isn't just a dispute over a checking account. This is a high-stakes legal battle that accuses the largest bank in the United States of trade libel, bad faith, and violating state consumer protection laws. The core of the complaint is that J.P. Morgan Chase violated Florida's deceptive trade practices law. The legal team for the president argues that Florida law explicitly prohibits financial institutions from terminating accounts or denying services based on a person's political opinions, speech, or affiliations. According to the complaint reviewed by Bloomberg, Trump's lawyers state that, quote, debanking is a matter of public interest and significant importance to all consumers and businesses in the United States of America. They argue that J.P. Morgan Chase, given its history and size, is a central actor in what they call a troubling saga. This lawsuit frames this not just as a personal grievance, but as part of a broader campaign against the weaponization of the banking sector. The allegations
Delhi High Court seeks a DGCA response on plea to resume FDTL. Airline Duopoly tried to stall FDTL implementation, went to government to seek pause on safety regulation. CCTV footage shows the moment Ajit Pawar's plane crashed, burst into flames. Another Learjet 45 of VSR Aviation had crash landed at Mumbai airport in 2023. Same pattern observed today in Baramati.
And will you ground them for now?
I don't know. Why should I ground them? They're all fit aircraft. Why should I ground them?
Okay.
Then that's not my decision.
Okay.
The Learjet worldwide is a very, very dependable aircraft.
But the aviation company says the aircraft are absolutely fine, says will not ground aircraft. Hello and welcome, you watching This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Our top focus is on how the duopoly in the airline industry is essentially blocking the FDTL norms. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, I come to you with an exclusive element as to what exactly is the real story. Who exactly is lobbying on behalf of the airlines, and why is it that the airlines do not want the FDTL norms to come into effect? The reason being is this, ladies and gentlemen, on your screens in a short while from now is a letter that we're going to put out, a letter that was actually written by the Federation of Indian Airlines, representing a majority of the airlines in the country. In fact, this is a letter that was written on 12th of January, the last letter that has been written to the DGCA. And what exactly are they basically advocating? Before that, let me first tell you that this happens to be the only federation that represents most of the airlines, including Air India, IndiGo and others. And they have been actively lobbying the Directorate General of Civil Aviation for relaxations in the flight duty time limitation norms, which essentially have been designed to mitigate pilot fatigue and ensure safer operations. In fact, after the intervention of the court, DGCA was essentially told that they need to implement the FDTL norms, resulting in a change in the rostering by the airlines. So of course, if you remember what really happened back in the month of December, when a manufactured crisis took place on the side of the IndiGo Airlines. Now, as per this recent correspondence between FIA as well as DGCA, this is what they had to say. They have advocated for easing these regulations, arguing that the pre-existing fatigue management norms prior to the proposed 2024 revisions were sufficiently robust to maintain safety without imposing undue operational burdens on airlines. Now, this comes as the Delhi High Court has already asked DGCA to explain its decision to keep the FDTL rules in abeyance after they were temporarily paused following widespread flight disruptions. Now, the bench has essentially observed that unless the FDTL pilot rest rules are challenged legally or shown to be flawed, DGCA must implement them in full. Many pilot bodies had basically filed a contempt petition before the DGCA informed the court that it proposed a 22 crore rupees fine on IndiGo, ordered removal of the senior vice president, issued warnings to senior executives. Now, major airlines, including IndiGo, Air India, have basically sought a permanent relaxation in the flight duty time limitations. Let me try and explain what does this essentially mean. The FDTL norms essentially brings in the much needed relaxation that the pilots actually get in terms of their week offs and the resting period, which had essentially been increased following the revisions that were brought in. But effectively what happened on the ground is that barring a few airlines, most of the airlines, particularly IndiGo being one of the major defaulters here, someone which has about almost a good percentage hold on the airline industry, they decided not to go ahead with the FDTL norms. Let me also go across to my colleague Ishita, who's joining us from the newsroom. Ishita, this particular letter that has now been accessed by us goes on to indicate that there is a lobby that exists, and that lobby representing the airlines have actually written to the DGCA as late as 12th of January, where they have essentially advocated that there is absolutely no need to bring in a change in the FDTL norms because they believe that the existing rules, existing fatigue norms are good enough. And that is the reason why changes aren't required. Take us through the details of the letter that was written.
Right, of course. This is a letter that's been written by FIA to DGCA asking for the relaxation of FDTL norms. The big question is this comes on the same day when the Delhi High Court has asked DGCA to explain its stance regarding the abeyance of FDTL rules that it has put in abeyance till February of this year. Remember, this happened after the IndiGo crisis. Mass cancellations, delays were witnessed all around the country in December 2025. And right after this, IndiGo had approached DGCA to relax the norms. And now we are seeing an entire body consisting of several airlines which hold a major share in the aviation sector asking the DGCA to relax the FDTL norms. Remember, the High Court today, Delhi High Court, has in fact flagged a direct link that exists between the safety of passengers and the implementation of FDTL norms. So the big question is, why are airlines prioritizing their greed over the safety of passengers? Remember, FDTL norms, what they do essentially is they reduce the duty hours for the pilots, for the crew members. They increase the resting time. They reduce the night landings while giving them the rest that they need to ensure that fatigue is not, acted as an operational hazard. So the big question is, why are airlines now approaching the DGCA, pressurizing the body, blackmailing it essentially because they hold a dominant share in the aviation sector to relax these norms?
Ishita, I'll just request you to also read paragraph number 3, where they're essentially talking about their major findings, where they have highlighted the fact that the existing rules, the existing fatigue norms are basically good enough and perhaps no change is essentially required. Now, that is a recommendation that they have given. As per the CAR rules of the DGCA, it seems that there is a clear violation. We'll also bring in an aviation expert, but before I go across to the aviation expert to help us understand what does this letter essentially mean, Ishita, if you could just walk us through the details of paragraph number 3, in which they have essentially spoken about the CAR rules and the existing fatigue norms.
Right, of course. So I'll read out a few articles, a few paragraphs from the letter that FIA has now written to DGCA. They say that while well-intended, the combined effect substantially reduces roster adaptability without a proportional safety benefit. Requiring a weekly rest only at home base or temporary base is operationally impractical for multi-sectoral international flights and is not aligned with established global practice. Now, international frameworks recognize that effective fatigue recovery is driven by adequate rest, opportunity and circadian alignment rather than the physical location of rest. So what essentially these airlines are now pointing out that currently the FDTL norms which are in place, they say that in line with global standards, and what the changes DGCA had introduced before in May 2025, those are not as required to ensure that the pilots and the crew members are well rested, to ensure that fatigue does not become a silent killer or an operational hazard.
Well, Ishita, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Ms. Vandara is joining us on this broadcast. Ms. Vandara, we've accessed this letter This letter has been written by the Federation of Indian Airlines, which we understand represents majority of the airlines. It turns out that full-fledged lobbying on behalf of the airlines has been done. We are trying to reach out to the Federation for their official response on this. But what do you really make of it? Because it seems that the duopoly has basically come together, putting ample amount of pressure on the ministry as well as the DGCA so that the FDTL norms are not rolled out.
First of all, this is extremely unfortunate. This should not be happening. This is utter nonsense. We have to follow the international standards. We have to follow the standards that have been set. As we all know, the airlines have had more than 2 years to comply with these norms, to comply with the FDTL regulations. And a pilot fatigue globally is being addressed. And why is it that in our country, a duopoly, especially here, is trying to sort of arm twist the government again and again? And why is it that the government is complying? So this is a big question mark. This is a real time, requirement that the rest stars are given, that the rostering is made in such a way that the pilots have adequate rest, and fatigue is definitely a major concern all over the world and also in India. Why these airlines are coming up with this letter, actually, as I said, this is utter nonsense, and the High Court has to take a call, or the Supreme Court, the judiciary.
If I may
has
ask you,
to take
because
a
you are
call
from the industry.
Yes.
Ms. Vandana, sorry to
What's your
interrupt you. I
question?
want a clarification from your side, because you would be in a better position. You would be in a better position to explain this. As I understand, the Federation of Indian Airlines essentially represents informally most of these airlines. In fact, they've written in their letter that they are representing Air India, IndiGo. So should we basically understand, would it be right to say that to counter the Pilots Association, you have the FIA coming together with the airlines and putting pressure on the DGCA so that the FDTL norms are not taken forward?
Absolutely. They are coming against the FIP, which is incorrect and should not be done. And here the DGCA has to take a call, and really the deadline of February 10 has to be maintained. How far is February 10? We are just days away from that. And we cannot allow this to be extended further and further. It's becoming a huge joke, if I can say that. Not to forget that there are surplus pilots, especially with IndiGo and Air India, the duopoly that we are talking about here. They have surplus pilots. Even Akasa has surplus sets. The only one which doesn't have, which is at -15, is SpiceJet. Why is this happening? Needs to be questioned. And I think no more arm twisting by this FIA towards like a match between FIA and FIP has to stop. FIP is absolutely right in saying that this is a serious concern. International standards have to be followed. And since last 2 years, these airlines are sleeping. And now why are they crying wolf when they have surplus pilots? First of all, there are surplus pilots there. Why are they doing it? This is the question that needs to be addressed, and the government needs to take a serious, a take on this and really say that, really come up with the FDTL FDTL norms have to be followed too. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Vandana, for joining us on this broadcast. A quick recap of the big story that we are tracking at this hour. A letter that has been written by the Federation of Indian Airlines representing major airlines in the country. A letter that was written to the DGCA, the regulatory body, on 12th of January. The last one, they basically advocated that the FDTL norms need not be relaxed, and this perhaps is enough as far as operations are concerned. So is it that the Federation is now batting for the airlines so that there is pressure put on DGCA and the FDTL norms are not effectively put in place? Shift the focus now to the other big story, a tragic demise of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. But at the same time, questions essentially being raised about what led to the crash. In fact, some details basically emerging from the investigation, the preliminary investigation that has been carried out by the DGCA. AAIB is at the spot in Baramati. In fact, the DGAAIB has essentially put out their first preliminary understanding of the situation, given the fact that it happens to be an uncontrolled airstrip. And in fact, there have been communications that have taken place between the ATC as well as the pilot, which indicates that there was a problem in terms of sighting the runway. Questions are now being raised about the very company that was owning this chartered aircraft and whether at all it was airworthy to begin with. The owner of the company maintains that the aircraft was absolutely airworthy. The audit that was essentially done just about a couple of months ago did not flag any issues with this entire aircraft. Listen in to what the director had to say when he was basically questioned about multiple incidents that have taken place. In fact, the last happened to be in the year 2023 in Mumbai, a similar pattern that we have seen today in Baramati. First, listen to what the director had to say, and then I'm going to take you to the details of the investigation that has been carried out so far.
ना तो आप थे ना मैं था, कोई नहीं था, वो पायलट का डिसीजन था. You know, he made an approach from runway 29 and then he carried out a missed approach, after which again he tried to make an attempt from runway 11. This is what I also have no contact with the pilots. They are not there. It is a very unfortunate incident. We are very sad about it. उसमें ना तो आप थे ना मैं था, कोई नहीं था, वो पायलट का डिसीजन था. You know, he made an approach from runway 29 and then he carried out a missed approach, after which again he tried to make an attempt from runway 11. This is what I also have no contact with the pilots. They are not there. It is a very unfortunate incident. We are very sad about it. We are trying to first be with the family, solidly with the family who have lost their best next of kins. It's a very unfortunate incident. Primarily, it appears that, you know, the pilot could not see the runway, and that's why he would have carried out a missed approach.
But he has already taken 2 loops. How is it possible that he could not see?
You know, the pilot will carry out a missed approach in case if he's not comfortable to land on the runway. Very experienced pilot, more than 16,000 hours of experience, very seasoned. The co-pilot was also 15,000 hours. 1,500 hours. And the captain was very experienced, instructor examiner material. He was with Sahara, he was with Jetlight, he was with Jet Airways, and he was very experienced on this type of aeroplane also.
So the distance was almost more than 6 kilometers from the runway. Do you think it's possible that he could not have seen it, or there could have been any technical?
I really don't know, because I was not there.
Because we are talking about the flight data.
No, I'm only talking of the information that I have got from the eyewitnesses.
When was the last security check done on the aircraft?
The aircraft was very well maintained. There was absolutely no problem in the aircraft. There was no technical failure in the aircraft.
And
as far as we know.
2023 के इंसिडेंट की रेफरेंस दी जा रही है कि 2023 में भी ऐसी हादसा हुई थी. उसमें भी आप लोगों ने शायद लो विजिबिलिटी की बात उठाई थी. अगर आप
उसमें मैम 2023 में जो हुआ था वो बॉम्बे एयरपोर्ट पे हुआ था, और उसमें भी बारिश हो रही थी, लो विजिबिलिटी थी, एंड द पायलट आफ्टर टचडाउन स्किडेड ऑफ द रनवे. So that was the incident.
अभी फिलहाल सर जो आप लोगों से डिटेल्स मांगी जा रही है उसके रिगार्डिंग क्या अपडेट है थोड़ा अगर हमें
मैं कुछ मैम देखिए AIB की इन्फॉर्मेशन मैं ना आपको दे सकता हूँ ना मुझे कुछ मालूम है. You know, the DGCA is doing their work, so please give us some time to handle first the families who have lost their lives, handle the DGCA, and then we'll get back.
Sir, how many Learjet 45s do you have?
We have 7.
And will you ground them for now?
I don't know. Why should I ground them? They're all fit aircraft. Why should I ground them? Okay. That's not my decision.
Okay.
The Learjet worldwide is a very, very dependable aircraft. So why should we ground them? And please excuse me.
Right now, these are the images coming in from Baramati, where the mortal remains of Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar, is now being taken out from the hospital. In fact, the last rites would be conducted in his home constituency of Baramati, where Prime Minister as well as Union Home Minister would be present. A short while back, Ajit Pawar's family members, including cousin Supriya Sule and wife Sunitra Pawar, had reached. In fact, Sharad Pawar has made it very clear that not to do politics over the tragic death of his nephew Ajit Pawar. This comes after Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, had basically indicated that there could be some sort of a conspiracy, and she had basically called in for a Supreme Court monitored investigation to be carried out, and also perhaps going ahead alleging that this was basically done because he had indicated that he could leave the alliance, the alliance of Mahayuti. Now, after that, Sharad Pawar himself, a short while back, has now put out a statement that there is absolutely no need to do politics over this entire matter. Undoubtedly, a tragic incident that has taken place in Maharashtra with the Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, who was present in the aircraft which crashed around 8:45 this morning. Along with him, his personal security as well as crew members have also died. In fact, it turns out from the investigation that has been carried out so far that low visibility was one of the reasons cited. In fact, it turns out from the preliminary report of the DGCA that the crew had basically inquired about the winds as well as the visibility, and they were basically informed that it was calm and there was visibility was around 3,000 meters, and the aircraft thereafter reported on the final approach of runway 11, and the runway was not in sight of them. They in fact initiated a go-around in the first approach. After the go-around, the aircraft was asked about its position and crew reported on final approach. We're leaving you with these images coming in from Baramati, as Chief Minister of Maharashtra basically defined his friend as someone, a man with his words, but not to forget a checkered political past of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Amity University has been ranked India's #1 university for business and economics and the #1 private university for computer science by Times Higher Education Subject Rankings 2026. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, राजा और मसाला।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
In a major escalation between the White House and Wall Street, President Donald Trump has filed a massive lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful financial institutions. The president is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, seeking at least $5 billion in damages.
No, I haven't stopped it. No, it debanked to me. So we'll see if that beeps anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanking. Get debanked if you don't have money or if you fall to have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know